Hey y'all, and welcome to PolitiBrawl. My name is Brian, and Steve Scalise delivers a scathing speech not just against Nancy Pelosi, but in defense of what we're trying to do in the big beautiful bill. Let's dive in.
I asked to speak because I hear members on the other side talking about spending on the part of the Democrats, spending for education and health care, and all the needs of food for our children. I just want to remind all of them, speaking to you, Mr. Speaker, that tax cuts are expenditures. They're the biggest spending in this bill, to the tune of $5 trillion. $5 trillion added to the national debt to give tax cuts to the wealthiest people in the country at the expense of feeding our children, health care for our people, and the education of our children. And nothing brings more money to the Treasury than the education of the American people, from early childhood to lifetime learning and every phase of it in between. So you should be ashamed of yourselves to mock spending on education. The best dollar we spend is on educating the American people and the investments in scientific research, the biblical power to cure that science provides for us, cut in this bill, to spend $5 trillion for the wealthiest people in America. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
There's going to be no hiding, Mr. Speaker. We all know when this board lights up what the consequences are. And why do we say there's going to be a golden era in this country? We're securing our border in this bill, too. We're opening up American energy in this bill. Everywhere from the North Slope of Alaska to, yes, the Gulf of America, where President Biden had shut down American energy. He green-lighted Russia's Nord Stream pipeline so Russia could produce their energy, funding billions of dollars to go fund their war against Ukraine. But in America, we were shut down. We open it up in this bill, Mr. Speaker. American workers get to produce American energy, not just for America. It's going to lower the price at the pump. Again, you're a middle-income family. The billionaire doesn't care what the cost of gasoline is. You know who does? That waitress making $32,000 a year saves that tip money. Maybe she can go on a trip and get in her car and drive and afford the gasoline now because we'll be producing more. We actually have lease sales in this bill for once, so we can produce energy in America. We have great natural resources. We just had them shut down for 4 years by an administration that said no to American energy, said yes to other countries' energy. Iran was able to sell their oil on world markets thanks to the previous administration. That party's over. And when America starts producing more energy, not only does it help lower the price for families here in America, not only does it create great jobs here in America, but all the bad guys around the world, Russia, Iran, Venezuela, you name your country, they're not going to have a cartel-like exclusive license on global energy anymore because America's going to be back in the game. Let's get this country back in the game. Let's get this country back on track. Let's actually promote opportunity in the American dream again for anybody who wants it. You want to work? There's going to be more opportunity than you've ever had before. If you're disabled on Medicaid right now, you've been crowded out of those programs by people turning down work. Able-bodied people, 35-year-olds sitting at home playing video games. They're going to now have to go get a job. That's right. And by the way, that's a good thing for them. Their mom doesn't want them sitting in the basement playing video games anyway. But now it no longer will be crowding out Medicaid for the truly needy people who deserve it. The disabled people will not be getting crowded out of those programs by people who can actually go get a job, and there are going to be a lot of great jobs, Mr. Speaker, a lot of great jobs in this country. America's coming back. You can vote no all day long, and you can hide behind billionaires all day long, but we're going to keep moving forward because this country doesn't sit down in the fetal position. America's ready for a rebirth, and we're going to deliver it. President Trump is at the helm now. It's a new day. World leaders know it. The bad guys know it around the world. But you know what? Those hardworking families who have been waiting for this relief for a long, long time are finally going to realize help is on the way because Republicans in Congress, any Democrats that want to join, Mr. Speaker, are free to, but they're bragging that they don't want to be a part of this. But you know what? the hardworking families of America are hungry for this kind of change. Take power away from Washington, give it back to the people, and watch what happens. Great things are ahead for this country. Greatest country in the history of the world. We are finally going to give and restore that great American dream and that hope for those families who have been waiting way too long. That help is coming. We're going to pass this bill. President Trump's going to sign it. It's going to be a great 4th of July. Let's pass the bill, Mr. Speaker. I yield back to balance my time.
She is jealous, ladies and gentlemen. She's jealous. She does not like the fact that the world is changing around her and she can't compete anymore. She used to be one of the most powerful members in congressional history. Perhaps a top 5, and I mean this from a historical perspective, not from an actual you did good work in your time, but a top 5 Speaker of the House because of how she was able to strong-arm Democrats who used to be moderates into basically selling the soul of American healthcare down the river for the American, the ACA, also known as Obamacare. That's her legacy, and she can't stand the idea of Congress finally dealing with all of the problems that the Democrats have continued to well up from the bottom and just continue to flood this country with illegal immigrants, continue to flood the country with money that we didn't need. Remember, it was the Democrat Party under Joe Biden that pushed us over the debt ceiling. And when I say debt ceiling, I'm not talking about the thing that Congress constantly votes to raise and raise and raise. I'm talking about the point where economists were saying, no, do not have a major spending bill right now. The American economy will plummet because of it. We will tumble into higher interest. We will tumble into more inflation. And guess what? We got more inflation. Bidenflation, if you will. That's ultimately what Nancy Pelosi's legacy should look like. But when it comes to being proactive as well, we also told her, hey, can you please beef up security on that cold day in January? She refused. It is the job of the Speaker of the House to defend her members, to defend the Capitol building. She refused. The 180 that I have gone on Nancy Pelosi might need to be studied for history. Because when I was in college, I studied political science. Nancy Pelosi was one of my favorite politicians because I respected her abilities. My brain has not fully evolved at that point because I was in college. The male brain doesn't fully evolve until about 25. And after that point, I realized, oh, this woman's terrible. Now, I knew that guys like Harry Reid were some of the more evil members of senatorial history, but I never ascribed that to Nancy Pelosi, and I still don't ascribe that to her today. But I can say that she is overcome with jealousy. She is overcome with envy, and she cannot stand the very idea that the Trump administration on their 2.0 version is now passing a major piece of legislation in its first year, something she couldn't even do under I think they had a trifecta back in 2009. I'm 99% sure they had a trifecta. And she had to strong-arm her own people into voting for this bill. And she's out here complaining about the ideas of, oh, education's the best money we can spend. No! Education has been one of the biggest drains of the American economy and of the American taxpayer dollar. Why? Because Nancy Pelosi and her socialist-style friends, or her Marxist buddies, have all captured every single institution. There's only a handful that they haven't gotten their grubby mitts into. Hillsdale is one of the biggest ones, in my opinion. I kind of wish I had gone there instead of the college that I went to. I probably would have gotten a much better education. But Nancy Pelosi and her cronies in education have just continued to erode the very idea and the heartthrob of the American, heartbeat. Nancy Pelosi is no one's heartthrob, not even her husband. But the very heartbeat of the American people has been eroded by our ridiculous educational policies. Not to mention, by the way, No Child Left Behind. Do you remember that bill? That terrible piece of legislation that basically gave legislators the excuse to defund certain places because they didn't like the rural test scores. It was basically an attempt to say, certain members of Congress can't get money for their districts to improve their infrastructure. And that's the real truth. That's the real moneymaker of America. When it comes to taxpayer dollars, it's our infrastructure. It's our highway system. It's the way we do things. And let's be honest, our highway system needs some work. And maybe it's had too much work. I'm one of those lucky states that we don't have tough winters that do a number on the roads. But Nancy Pelosi is bloviating beyond her own comprehension because she is jealous. Meanwhile, Steve Scalise is trying to remind his own people and his own party that, hey, we have an opportunity to fix major problems inside of our country. We have a chance to fully get rid of the illegal immigration issue, which will raise the amount of American labor. It will raise the dollar value. It will raise the amount of jobs, which, by the way, we have had a great jobs report currently. In this month alone, they were expecting about 33,000. We had 147,000 jobs created. Steve Scalise is talking about the American comeback because we have needed a great American reemergence. We had a brief one when Donald Trump worked with both Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan in order to get the tax cuts passed, and that's what made our economy get out of the malaise of the Obama years. That's what the big beautiful bill is trying to do, and the Democrat Party wants to put their fingers in their ears and ignore the fact that they have allowed problems inside the United States to fester and get larger and larger until we can't ignore it anymore. We're almost at a critical mass, and we must have mass deportations to some degree. Okay? We have got to deal with this illegal immigration problem. That's one of the cornerstones of the big, beautiful bill. Oh, and by the way, the people screaming about the loss of education dollars, the people screaming about the idea that, oh, we're taking away some charity money. Americans are the most charitable people on this planet. Remember, we are a nation that left the old world in order to found something new, so we have a higher inclination in our hearts to giving to our own neighbors. We need to rediscover that. Nancy Pelosi is terrified of what will happen if we defund certain places. I am more excited to see what happens when Americans start reaching back into their pockets and start giving of their own volition and not out of our tax dollars. That's why we've defunded USAID. But I don't want to get off into the weeds here, folks. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Is Nancy Pelosi over the target, or is Steve Scalise 100% right? Let me know, folks. My name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on PolitiBrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Until then, y'all have a good one.